Okay, guys, so I want to talk to you about the Lapiplasty procedure. So I am 6 weeks post-op. And so far, I'm really happy with the results of the surgery. I think that the doctor I went to was pretty good. So I'll kind of talk to you guys about the process and how I got to week 6 and feeling pretty good about things. I had the surgery on May 12th. It's now June 26th. I will say that when they initially talked to me about the procedure and how it was going to be, I do feel like that there were some things that I probably could have been a little bit more informed about. They told me that I would be in a soft cast for like a week, 2 weeks, and then transition into the boot, and then they would see how things went from there. Surgical day was good. He came in, explained everything that he was doing. They did a nerve block, so the whole left leg, I got my left foot done. The whole left leg was completely numb. They had me on gabapentin. They gave me a narcotic, had some antibiotics, a couple other medications that I was supposed to take for a certain period of time after the surgery. And they told me that the nerve block would wear off within 2 or 3 days. So they wanted me to get started on the narcotic just to ease that transition of the nerve block wearing off. Because I mean, the foot was completely numb. I felt great. Like I was like, cool. I don't have any pain and everything. It was a very bulky, soft cast. Couldn't move the foot. I was on crutches. They told me pretty much ice behind the knee and keep it elevated. So I literally sat down on the couch and in the bed for 8 days straight until my next follow-up appointment. I didn't do anything at all other than what he said because I really wanted to make sure that everything was going good with the recovery. So when the nerve block wore off, it was really painful, like an 8 out of 10. And I think I have a pretty high pain tolerance, and I was crying. So ended up the day that it wore off, it was the day after my surgery, about like noon, that it wore off. The surgery center, whoever called me, and you know how they, just want to make sure you're doing okay and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, it's fine. I was like, nerve block hasn't worn off. A little while after that call, I started feeling tingling in the foot, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's the nerve block wearing off. But I was still taking my meds as instructed. And when it wore off, it was just like everything came crashing down on me. It was extremely painful. I could feel the pain in the bone, each 3 incision sites that he did. And when I could feel the leg, the cast felt like it was just like squeezing my foot. Like the cast came about like up to maybe my calf or so, top of my calf, and from there down it just felt like the cast was so tight and like squeezing my foot. And I know that there was swelling and things going on, but I'm elevating it, I'm icing it, taking these anti-inflammatory. The day after that, I dealt with that for a day, just thinking maybe the meds, whatever, but no, it was excruciating. And the meds would kind of knock me out, but not the way narcotics usually knock you out. So I called up there the next day, and they wanted me to rotate the narcotic, the ibuprofen, and the Tylenol. So they wanted me to go narcotic, Tylenol, narcotic, ibuprofen every 2 hours. So started doing that. The pain got better, but like that like first day or 2 days, it was absolutely awful. I was just, it would be points in time where I would just like lay in the bed and cry, and I was like, what have I done? But so once I got over that and the pain subsided, I was fine with just like taking ibuprofen as needed. So I would just say it was honestly about 2 days where it was really bad. So then once the pain wore off, it was really just the cast, the matter of me feeling like the cast was extremely tight. So I just feel like it was like squeezing my leg, and I just wanted the cast off. It was uncomfortable. So finally, 8 or 9 days after the surgery was when my first follow-up was, and they took the cast off. And as soon as she cut that cast off and let my foot go, my foot felt so much better. Like I think it was just a swelling of the cast. I don't know what it was, but that thing was tight. So she cut the cast off. I still couldn't get anything wet. So to shower, I had to put my foot in a trash bag, tied off at the top. And I don't have a shower chair, but I do have a shower head that comes down. So I sat in the bathtub to take a shower. Once I got there, she took the cast off. She cleaned it with the wound wash, whatever. And I still had the stitches in. Foot was very swollen. So he kept the stitches in, and I transitioned into the boot. And I had 2 weeks in the boot. And then I would come back, they would take the stitches off, see where I was. So they did x-rays there, he said, it was looking how it should look, swelling was okay. And he wanted me to start doing gentle range of motion exercises with the toe, practicing moving it and, pushing and pulling the big toe up and down, things like that. But he wanted me to make sure it was very gentle as to not mess up the stitches. So the boot, I was really excited about the boot. And then also she did put another gauze wrap, and they still instructed me not to get the foot wet. So I was still showering with a trash bag on my foot. So with the boot, I thought everything was fine. I was like, great, I'll be able to get up, move around. But first 4 to 5 days I had the boot on, I'm not one to transition with the crutches. I walked out with the crutches, and I never touched the crutches again because I was like, I have the boot, I can walk without it. They did say I may need to transition with the crutches, which is probably what I should have done, but I was like, I'm fine. So I did not use the crutches, had the boot on, and I can't really describe what the pain was, but right over where he cut it open up top here, there were the straps that went over it, and they gave me a special sock to wear, and the inside of the boot was padded. But for whatever reason, like every first step I would take after, like if I just stood on it for a while and then I tried to take a step, it was like a very like sharp jarring pain in only that area that would literally make it felt like I had like stepped on fire or something like that, and I would just immediately have to pull my foot up. But once I took a couple more steps, the pain just completely subsided. Like it was just like the pain wasn't there. So pretty much I could only continuously walk. So I remember either that day or the next day we went to the grocery store, and you know how you're stopping to like look at meat or whatever. As soon as I would start walking, I would like have to hop up off the foot. I think that the pressure that was distributed from the foot, I haven't applied pressure on the foot in 8 days, and it's swollen and it's still healing. I think that just that pressure, for whatever reason, just shot up to the nerves around that big incision, which is where most of the work was done. And I think it was just like a kind of a shock to it. So anyway, after about 5 days of dealing with that, it just went away. And the boot was like, I had no pain. I'm just walking around with the boot. So I'm like, all right, great. So I'm thinking that when I go back to the doctor the next time, that I'll get the boot off. Get back to the doctor, and he says he wants me to boot for 3 more weeks. I was absolutely pissed. They took the stitches out. Very painful. I think the girl who was doing it was not used to doing it. I was just having a hard time getting under it to cut it and whatever. It was quite painful with getting the stitches taken out. So they put steri strips over it, told me I could wash the foot. When they pulled the original gauze off, I had a scab that had formed, and the girl who took the gauze off fucking ripped the scab up. So then I had an open part on the incision. So they pretty much put some gauze over that and just told me to, you know, change it if needed and whatever. So I ended up just putting band-aids over that, just that portion for a period of time, and then it heals up. So, and now I just got the boot off on Wednesday. Today's Friday. And I was a little bit nervous about how that transition was going to work, but honestly, it really hasn't been much of a transition. He looked at my x-rays and checked my range of motion and control of the foot and swelling and all that. Took a look at my x-rays, said that it was, you know, where it should be at. Things looking good. He just wanted a couple more areas to heal up. But I could start fully weight bearing with athletic shoes with support. He didn't want me, obviously no running or jumping, anything plyometric or impact. He didn't even want me lunging. And I did start physical therapy 2 weeks ago. They've been just kind of manipulating the joint, and as I run along the bottom, there's like a clump that's like really tight. So they've been working to get that out. And then now that I'm out the boot, they have me doing balance exercises to kind of regain control and get that foot used to being on the ground. So, I mean, my walking I think it's pretty good. It's not super noticeable that I had someone slice into my foot, and it's not pain free. It's just not, the pain isn't, it feels like I've been standing on my feet for a long time. That's what it feels like kind of when I walk around. But I guess because I'm so excited that I have the boot off, I don't care. So I just, you know, keep doing everything. As soon as I got the boot off, I walked out to my car with the boot on, and I had another pair of shoes, and I put those shoes on, and they have a wide toe box, so they were comfortable, and the laces aren't too tight. And I started walking around with it, and I mean, it felt fine. It felt foreign, but it wasn't any pain. One of the things I really want to do is I wanted to get back into squatting and doing a little bit more of my normal routine. So I tried squatting and did a workout, got on the bike without the boot on. That was good. And I expected the foot to be like swollen when I came back from doing a workout. Foot wasn't any more swollen than it was earlier. So the foot will get swollen towards the end of the day. Like by the time I go to bed, it's swollen, but it's not like a balloon swollen. I only had that happen one day where it was really, really swollen. And doctor said when it's swollen, you know, he said, yeah, you can just elevate it. You know, he didn't really he wasn't too worried about it, and they did write on my notes that that's something that should be expected, pain and swellings. I feel pretty good so far. I'll put a picture in here of my foot. My incisions are healed up. Like they have the scar over it and everything like that. So he told me I could submerge the foot in water if I wanted to, I guess, you know, but yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good about it. The issues I'm still having is that I can't curl the toe. So what'll happen is the other 4 toes will curl as normal, but the big toe, it just doesn't move as much. So that's something that he wants to see improvement on when he sees me again in 4 weeks. And this summer I'm working on physical therapy. So they have me doing the marbles with my feet, picking them up, going both ways, inversion and eversion. They had me just doing normal toe curls, normal toe extension, something that they call short foot, which is, I guess I'm just working on the arch of my foot. I'm not curling, but I'm just kind of like trying to like pull my arch up from the ground. Just not being able to have that control of it. And I still, like with doing calf raises, I have some pain with just putting all of my weight on that joint, but that's to be expected. So I guess just the fact that now I'm not having any complications and walking is tolerable. It's not like I have to like sit down every 2 seconds. I, you know, feel comfortable taking my dog out for a walk or going to the grocery store. I think my process has been very well. Just that initial phase, I wasn't really sure. And I think that those were the types of things that they could have been a little clearer about as far as the recovery, that when the nerve block wears off, you're going to feel tingling, and you know, the cast is gonna end up feel like it's really, really tight, but you know, it needs to feel like that for a period of time, whatever. Because those were things that I was calling the doctor's office like freaking out about, because I felt like something was wrong, and I guess it was all just a part of the process. So I'll post some pictures of my foot up here, and post another update, you know, maybe another couple of weeks or so. So hopefully, if you've watched this, it encourages you to go out and get the procedure, because I've watched a lot of the bunion videos and bunion recovery for people who have had the typical surgery done, and it sounds miserable, absolutely miserable. So I will say that my recovery process has not been like that. And I also noticed that there are not a lot of people who posted about this Lapiplasty procedure, but I'm really glad that I found it, because I was probably about to have the normal one done had I not looked online and found this procedure and then found a surgeon who was practicing this in my area. So it's becoming more widespread now, and it definitely appears to be a much better option. So this clip was the day of surgery, so you can see the big soft cast that they have there, which completely covered my whole foot. So this was my first follow-up appointment when they completely cut the cast off, and when she was cleaning my foot and everything, the stitches stayed in after this appointment. So this was a couple days after my first follow-up visit where they gave me the boot. So this is how my foot was underneath the boot. I had a protective sock to put over it. This was the new gauze and dressing, so I still was not able to get the foot wet. So this was my third foot follow-up visit. This is after the lady took the stitches out. So as you can see, there's a little portion that's still open and the incisions aren't fully healed. So they put steri strips on after this. This was the appointment that I was hoping to get the boot off, but then I stayed in the boot for 3 more weeks. And this is my foot today. So this is week 6, a couple days after I got the boot off. And as you can see here, there's not a lot of swelling. The incisions have healed up pretty good. Just have some, you know, scabbing and scarring still getting cleared up out there. But yeah, this is what my foot looks like currently at week 6.